And a good Wednesday to all of you CWTAP viewers. It's time for Corner Kick. Alex Fidryshevsky and JJ Pepe back in the saddle with you. JJ, your stand-in Bobby did a great job, but it's always good to have you back home, man.
It's great to be back. Yeah, I'd take a week off, do some things at home, but it's great to be back, ready to get going, even with what is a more quiet weekend just passed.
Yeah, obviously we're in World Cup qualifying right now, so things are not necessarily as busy as the domestic schedule. Still some things worth talking about, and we'll dive into it. As you can see on the rundown, we'll go through European qualifying first and then the rest of the world, and we'll bring it home in segments 3 and 4 to really talk about the American game, specifically with the national team, with the U.S. going down once again with a disjointed roster mashup of we'll get into it.
Yeah.
And, want to thank X Golf, of course, 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton, for hosting the show every single week. Appreciate Tom giving us the Spieth simulator. He said at some point between us and Jason Parrish coming here all the time, he's going to just take Spieth off there and put CWTAP on it.
I like it.
I like it. I think it should be. I think it should be our sim, But we're going to get into the show here. And actually, wait, I have one other thing because I knew you were going to wear a kit.
Yes.
So I, too, have brought a kit.
All right.
I, too, have brought a kit, and I'm gonna put this on right now. And I had to go into a vault to get this.
Oh, dear.
I did.
Oh, dear.
I did.
Oh, no.
I had to go into the vault.
Oh.
And I am now ready for the show.
Wow. Still fits.
Still fits.
Still fits. You're going to have to fill people in.
That is right.
That is.
I'm very excited. So this is the modern-day high school jersey. I have one of the remaining kits from the days of modern day. Yeah, my high school closed a couple of years ago, but I was able to get one of my soccer jerseys, and we got a baseball jersey and a basketball jersey at home as well. So, I figured, we always wear interesting kits. I was like, you know what? Go for the modern day one today. So shout out to all my fellow Seraph alumni out there. I'm gonna rep the school that was one of JJ's rivals.
Yeah. When I was back at Monsignor Donovan, now Donovan Catholic, almost every school I went to has changed its name after I've left. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But we used to beat up on Modern Day, and I know when you got in there, that was when the school really turned a corner and was much better than the days when I was there.
Yeah, as good as Modern Day in the 80s was a state top 5 team. Richie Williams played there at that time with a host of other Division I players. And for some of the viewers at home, Richie played for DC United for, 12 years or something like that, and played for the U.S. national team and was coach of both Red Bull and, I believe, DC. He was an interim for just about everybody.
Yeah. I don't think he's not coaching now, is he?
No. He left New England after that whole fallout with Bruce Arena.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, Richie Williams played at Modern Day, and they were beating St. Benedict's to win the state title back in the 80s. The 90s, when you were playing there in early 2000s, was rough. By the time I got there, we were much more competitive. And our games with Mondon were always good games. I always loved playing Mondon. And I remember every year the coach would tell the freshmen, "You can't say let's go MD today." And I'm sure the Mondon coach was saying the same thing, like, "No, go MD today, guys."
Well, we never really used the initials. That we went with to shorten just. It was Mondon. So
yeah.
Ours is okay in that respect. So
yeah.
We didn't need any additional things to remember.
So there you go. I'm proud to match your Aston Villa with some modern day flair. So
I like it.
Going down into the vault today. All right, let's get the show started here. We're going to bring some things up on the screen, some notes that have gone on. Starting out in Group A of European qualifying, the upset of the week was Slovakia downing Germany 2-0 in Bratislava. Goals by two players who recently got some transfers, the Atletico defender Hansko, and then Middlesbrough new signing Strelec, who came from Slovan Bratislava. That was the backbreaker at the end of the game. Right now, Germany is tied for second, but only the group winner is guaranteed a spot in the World Cup. So Germany now has to make up the point difference and potentially goal difference here, though Slovakia did just give them a favor. They only beat Luxembourg 1-0.
Yeah, when you beat Germany like that, and your next game is Luxembourg, you got to pour some goals in. So from the overall perspective, great first result, but not a great follow-up. Germany
took a 90th minute goal against Luxembourg.
Yeah, and this isn't the Luxembourg of old. I mean, they because of all the Nations League stuff, they've gotten a little better, So, but you have that where they just park the bus, they'll take the 0-0, and those are the games where you take 1,000 shots and you feel like it's not your day, but they got the win. For Germany, it was their first away qualifying loss in almost 50 years. They just don't lose World Cup qualifiers very often. So it was a very surprise result, and they're in third. I think it's on goals scored. Northern Ireland, 4 goals scored. With Germany, 3 goals scored because they're even on goal difference. It's 0. Germany bounced back, beat Northern Ireland 3-1. So they're still tracking in the right direction. The goal difference is going to get bumped way up when they play Luxembourg. They'll probably get a few. All they have to do is take care of Slovakia at home, and I still think they're going to coast. And with all that Nations League stuff, too, they have the fallback that they're definitely in the playoff no matter what.
Yeah, and for me, this also, as we talk about, this isn't your grandparents' Luxembourg team. This also isn't your grandparents' Slovak side. Mm-hmm. This is an improved nation that has really focused on youth development over the course of the last 10 years or so. Not so much out of Slovan Bratislava. They like to sign players who are foreigners and bring them in, or even Slovak nationals. Vladimir Weiss plays for them. So, but Žilina and a couple other teams really focused on that 18 to 24 group, and now it's starting to pay dividends for them. Whipping around the rest of the continent, again, some of these groups, B, C, I mean, E and F, they've just started over the next couple of months. The next 3 windows, they will play that out. It's almost too early to pinpoint some stories in those, but as you go further down, we'll bring the points back up on the screen. Group G is interesting. You have Poland and the Netherlands. You have Italy, who could still miss out on this thing entirely. Again. Now still chasing Norway, have some points to make up there. Belgium, I think them and North Macedonia. That's an interesting group. Belgium, North Macedonia, Wales in this mix where somebody could miss out, and right now it's Macedonia topping the group. Now they have a game in hand on Belgium, but this is still a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, and North Macedonia, they're one of those sides you don't think too much of them because it's North Macedonia. They're not traditional powerhouse, but they were the ones who eliminated Italy from the playoff rounds in the previous World Cup when Italy didn't qualify. So they have good players, they're well organized, and they can spring the result when needed. So that's going to be an interesting run-in, those 3 sides, because the bottom 2, Kazakhstan, Liechtenstein, they're done. So unless somebody drops a surprising point, 2 points, they draw. This is just going to come down to the free-for-all between those 3, North Macedonia, Belgium, and Wales, to see who's going to take top spot, who's going to make the playoff. Group J, definitely one you wouldn't want to be in.
No, certainly not, because somebody's going home. And what's interesting, you talk about North Macedonia, right? And say, hey, it's North Macedonia, right? It's a team you don't normally think of. The dynamic of club signings and player recruitment across Europe has evolved so much over the last 10 to 15 or 20 years. I'd go back to when we were younger. You would look at a North Macedonia roster. Most of the guys were either in their domestic league. Maybe some of their better players would be playing in Serbia or Croatia. You look at the team now. There's guys playing in in Turkey and Italy and Serie A who are playing in Saudi Arabia now. Where even there, say what you will about the Saudi league, it's probably better than MLS. Probably better than Liga MX. It's you could make the argument, but you look at where them or Slovakia, the Slovak players are now sprayed out all over the continent at these big clubs as they've loosened the domestic player rules. I mean, look at Italy. They used to have very strict when we were younger.
Oh yeah, they can only
Rules. It was like 4 or 5 of them.
three internationals is all you were allowed. They still have loosely. They've brought that back to try and regain a bit of their identity in their league. It's just a struggle to bring that to the national team level. I mean, recent match against Israel, they're 4-2 up, 9 minutes to go. It's at a neutral ground because Israel can't play home games in their country, so they're playing. The match was in Hungary. Italy are 4-2 up, and then they give up 2 goals late on. One's an own goal to go 4-3. Then they give up another goal just a couple minutes later, and luckily, a minute after that in stoppage time, they strike the winner. I mean, a 5-4 match, that's that's unheard of for Italy.
The masters of defense in our youth, the days of
Catenaccio and just shutting it down. 1-0, game's over.
I mean, a center back pairing that used to be Maldini and Nesta with Fabio Cannavaro and all these Gennaro Gattuso patrolling the defensive midfield.
And before that, Baresi,
Franco Baresi, Costa Curta,
all the from the 90s, they were phenomenal. And now that was an amazing match, and Estonia, Moldova away, they should take care of business. Israel at home, that'll probably be another good one. But that group, so you can kind of see where some of these will probably play out. That group's going to come down to the final match day against Norway, which is going to be, I believe, in Milan. And Norway put 1 over on the Italians. Actually, they put 3 over. They beat them 3-0 in June in Norway. So that's going to be the match. There's probably going to be some goal difference things going on. So, that's the group that's going to go to the wire. Group G, Netherlands and Poland, they're pushing neck and neck. Poland's in second. They lost to the Dutch, I believe, and that's why they're slightly behind.
They lost
right
to
now.
Finland.
That's right. They lost to Finland. They drew the Dutch.
And then they flipped it back on Finland. And it was one of those days, obviously, for me, being Polish, June 10th was not a good day in my household, losing to Finland. But again, it's not your grandparents' Finland, where everybody plays for HJK Helsinki. Maybe there's somebody in Sweden. No, their players are all at these big clubs now. So they are producing better talent, and they're getting exposure to better leagues. And, thankfully they flipped the script in Chorzów on Sunday. But, listen, they're not out of the woods yet either. They do get the last qualifier home with Netherlands. That game will be in Warsaw. And, but in true Poland fashion, just don't give away points in Lithuania or something like that. They have to find a way. It's 9 points or else.
Yeah.
It's 9 points of the playoffs for them. And I think that's real. The group is weak. And Netherlands has Finland home. So they're going to get their points. So Poland has to find a result against the Netherlands. And the Dutch have a game in hand.
Yep. And they're probably going to have to find some goals because Malta, Lithuania, I think both squads play them. So it's you got to dump the goals in against at least one.
And that has historically been a problem for Polish national team. On paper, for 15, I keep going to 15 years, but there's this high water mark that starts for all these countries. For the last 15 years, the Polish national team on paper going forward has been one of the most talented in Europe, and not just Lewandowski. There was Jakub Błaszczykowski on the wing, and Grosicki on the other side. Krychowiak pulling the strings, and Milik, who could never stay healthy, but that's a whole nother.
Oh yeah.
But they had all these pieces, and when they would get into a game against Cyprus or San Marino, where it was like, okay, 10-0 San Marino, Lewandowski would have to score a goal in the 86th minute. They'd win 1-0, and they'd end up out of the tournament on goal difference because Bosnia hammered 8 in on them.
Yeah, it's a fascinating situation brewing there. And I mean, the funny thing is, these past 2 games, Matty Cash scores in both.
Matthew Dollars is our best player right now. The clutch British Pole. Thank you for coming over to the good side. So we much appreciate Matty Cash. His jersey hangs in Hartford.
Yes, it does. He limped off at halftime with a thigh bruise, but so hopefully he'll be okay for the weekend for Villa. But that's just a knock, so he should be back.
Topic out of Group D. PSG and Didier Deschamps a little bit at odds right now. Some players picked up. You talk about Knox, and Didier Deschamps came out today and said, we are not PSG's opposition.
Yeah.
These things happen.
Clubs always get angry when a player goes away and gets injured, especially, I think, when the clubs feel it's opposition where maybe a player didn't have to play. We're going to see this with PSG players, and we'll probably see this with the Chelsea players. And we talked about this, I think, on our first show back. That Club World Cup means players are going to be breaking down the first half of the year, and we're starting to see it. Just extra matches, to me, this isn't much. They would have been playing on the weekend anyway. So if he played for PSG and got injured, they wouldn't be complaining.
No.
They'd be complaining about, he played too much because we played through the summer and had 13 days off, until we came back for the 2-week preseason. So, that is what it is. PSG has to get over it. Player has to get over it. France should qualify from that group unless Iceland can spring a miracle on them. So,
yeah, I think, have we covered all the points that we really need to? I think England are all but there.
Yeah, they play Serbia coming up. If they can get the 3 points, that'll see them through. Group L, Croatia, Czech Republic, that will be interesting. I think Croatia beat the Czechs. That's why they should be slightly ahead if they win their next qualifier. But that'll come down to again to that October match. Croatia got to go to Prague. If they can get anything from it, they've pretty much cemented their spot, and the Czechs are going to have to settle for the playoff.
Yeah, the playoff's an interesting thing, too, because you have these Nations League teams that are going to be guaranteed spots if they don't make it. So, Germany could theoretically finish third and still be in the playoff.
Yeah. You think they'd still finish second. You don't expect the French to have to, use the pass. Same with Spain and Portugal. You're almost looking at four countries that will either win the group or should finish second.
Right, they'll be in it no matter what.
Yeah.
That kind of wraps up Europe right now. Again, a very brief run through. There's just not a lot to talk about right now. I think once we hit the October and November rounds, as these groups come towards completion, the next 2 months we'll have a lot more to review. Yeah,
because October, the 2 matches, that will put everybody going into those last 2 in November. So everything should be shaped up pretty well. Countries knowing what they have to do to win the group, secure a playoff. Early days, Scotland and Denmark, they drew. They topped the group. It's going to come back to the return match, between those two. Who's going to win the group and who's going to the playoff?
All right, well, let's take a break. Thanks some of our fine sponsors. We'll come back, and then we'll take a whip around the world of qualifying, go through some of the teams that are already in the World Cup, as well as the current status of the never-ending World Cup qualifying process now, because we've decided to let all 196 nations, or whatever it is, 201 nations participate in the World Cup. We're going there, aren't we?
Sooner or later.
So, yeah.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy, yeah. So we'll be back, and we will talk about the world of qualifying after this on the Corner Kick. Azar Supermarket, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem. Locally owned and operated by George Azar. Stop by today and pick from the freshest produce, much of it grown right here at home in Pennsylvania. Peruse the meat counter for the finest cuts of chicken, beef, lamb, and halal products. Take a step to your right. It's a selection of olives and mezza and cheese and more. Azar's features a full lineup of products imported from the Mediterranean, including Lebanese olive oil and hard-to-find spices and herbs. Shop Azar's, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem, for great value. Superior Hardware, located at 400 South 3rd Street in Bangor, is your go-to source for home improvement supplies in the Slade Belt. With a variety of tools, screws, nuts, bolts, and more, Superior Hardware is the place to shop for your hardware needs. Superior Hardware offers a full line of Milwaukee tools, the highest quality power tools available. In addition to their in-store offerings, Superior Hardware ships nationwide via their website, www.superiorhardwarebanger.com. So you don't even have to live in the Slate Belt or drive to Bangor to sample all that Superior Hardware has to offer. Superior Hardware is open Monday to Friday from 7 till 5, Saturday from 7:30 to 4, and Sunday from 9 to 2. Call them at 610-588-3205 or stop by their location at 400 South 1st Street in Bangor to jumpstart your home improvement projects today. That's Superior Hardware, 400 South 1st Street in Bangor.
We at Lifeline Screening have screened over 9 million people over 25 years. We identify your risk of stroke, cardiovascular disease, and other chronic illnesses. We use state-of-the-art ultrasound technology to look into your arteries to identify your plaque levels. During your screening, we examine the carotid arteries in the neck for plaque buildup that can lead to a stroke. We check your abdominal aorta for an aneurysm, a ballooning of this large artery in your belly which can rupture if it gets too big. We evaluate the pressures in your arms and ankles and calculate what is called an ankle brachial index. This is an indirect way to assess the flow in the arteries of legs and identify risks for more cardiovascular disease. We scan your shin bone to determine the density of the bone and derive risk for osteoporosis. And lastly, atrial fibrillation. If we detect anything that requires urgent attention, we will notify you immediately so you can contact your physician for follow-up. Screenings are simple, non-invasive, painless, and we have convenient locations throughout the United States. And of course, screenings provide peace of mind or early detection. Schedule your screening today.
All right, welcome back here to the Corner Kick on CWTAP. I'm Alex Fidorashevsky and JJ Pepe joining me. JJ, tell us a little bit about what's been going on with the cancer support community of the Greater Lehigh Valley. You had an event at the weekend and all went well?
It was a beautiful day at Bear Creek on Sunday. We had our Wings of Hope butterfly release presented by St. Luke's Cancer Center. We had well over 300 people that came out for a day of hope, a day of remembrance. It's the first time I attended this event. Never did it in the past, but because I work there, now I have to. But it was just a great day of people coming out, being together, community. Everybody there is connected by cancer in some way, just like we all are. Some celebrating their survivorship, others, remembering those who have passed. And it culminated after a bunch of family activities, some great live music. We had a very special program with two members of our community sharing their stories on how cancer has impacted their lives personally. And then we made our way outside into a little field and along the patio there, and countdown from 10 and 600 butterflies, were released. Some flying right away, others hanging out with their person. So very, very special day. I was very happy to be a part of it. And, now we look forward. September has a few things. October, Breast Cancer Month is always huge. And then it's, the run into to the end of the year. Yeah.
Now, you guys also have an event coming up next week as well, right? Is it at the Delta Hotel? That's part of your fundraising campaign as well?
Yes. A bunch of the networking groups, once or twice a year, it's twice this year, get together for what we're calling a mega mixer, and this is the fall mega mixer. We're anticipating, again, over 300 members of our business community coming out, doing some networking. There's some fundraising efforts with it, and we are the beneficiary. We've already raised over $5,000, and we're still over a week away from this event. We have a few more people coming on board, and then day of, there's also some raffles and things. But it's a great night because people get to come out, support us, something that's impacted everybody, but they also get kind of that business side of things. So it's not a true traditional fundraiser like we're used to. It's a little different, but it's a great night at the Delta.
Yeah, looking forward to being there, and our CWTAP cameras will be out to capture all the sights and sounds that evening and bring even more attention to this great cause and to platform some of the folks in the organization besides you. No offense, I love having you on here, but it'll be nice to put some of the other names and faces out there for the organization.
Yeah, I know we're really looking forward to it. Not only will other staffers be there, but our board of directors is coming out. So we're going to have some volunteers there. So it's going to be just a nice night. People who go there will get to learn more about us, and not, like you say, not just from me. They can talk to volunteers who are often members, some of our board of directors who not only help navigate the ship, but we have a couple members who are on our board, so they get to talk from an even different perspective about things.
Awesome. Should we get back into the show?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Back into World Cup qualifying. Now we're going to take you around the world in 80 seconds or so. No, really, we'll take longer than that. But so let's start in Asia.
Yes.
There are 6 nations which have already qualified. Iran, Uzbekistan, long time coming for them, first-time participants. They've pumped a lot of money through their domestic league over the last 25 years or so, former Soviet republic, that, like many of them, it took a little bit to figure just life out in general after the fall. But as they got on their business feet, they got on their soccer feet. And they will make their first appearance. South Korea, they're now a regular at this tournament.
Yeah.
Jordan, another surprise first-time qualifier. And then out of, I would say it was the group of death, if you will, a soccer term for the toughest of the qualifying routes. Japan and Australia and Saudi kind of nicking at each other's heels till the final 2 rounds before Australia and Japan were able to pull away from the Saudis. They are in. It wasn't the prettiest performance for the Socceroos, but they got across the line.
Yeah, Australia, definitely not the Australia we came to know in the 2006 time, in 2010.
It was a special group of players.
Yes.
And the way that first Australian team made it, that first crop of them with Schwarzer standing on his head saving penalty kicks, and Tim Cahill and all these players and the guys who and as somebody who follows Australian soccer, because it's just something I like to do. I like watching the A-League. In my 20s, I used to roll in at 3 a.m. on a Saturday, and the A-League would be on, and I would stay up and watch it. But the players of that time period became legends. Again, Schwarzer, Cahill, John Aloisi, Mark Viduka before him, and others. And then there was this little rough patch that they hit. They were still making the World Cup, but there was this question about how tough are they. And the 22 cycle, they were almost in the same boat the U.S. was 4 years prior, when the U.S. missed under Klinsmann and Bruce Arena, where they sat there and went, all these guys got all this money to play in the domestic league. They're weak. They're soft. And even Viduka coming out and saying, well, we were with all the ethnic clubs, the German clubs and the Croatian clubs and the whatever, we all played in the Greek clubs, and we were tougher. And coming into this cycle, it was going to be, could they find kind of the bite that they missed? And honestly, in the last 4 qualifiers and even the couple before that, they figured it out.
Yeah. They definitely had a struggle coming into the 2025 portion of their qualifying cycle. They had draws. You're talking about the 3 teams: Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia. They drew both of them, but they dropped 1 or 2. The 2 other draws, they dropped points they shouldn't have. They just couldn't find their feet, and then they found it, and they steamrolled. They beat Japan and Saudi Arabia in June, and that was it. That is when they qualified, but they needed those 6 points, and they got it. And Japan was, at that point, they were through because Saudi Arabia had fallen back a little bit.
It was the battle for second.
Yeah. And but Australia's in. That's all that counts. As we look at Asia, they're starting to become a little bit of the 4 that are going to be there. It's going to be Japan. It's going to be South Korea. Australia, even though they struggled, nailed on, and Iran is starting to become that next nation to be like, no, we're going to be here every time now.
Yeah, I think that they're really solid. I'm interested to see again what the Uzbeks will do. There's some talent there, but now they're not done with qualifying because we're taking everyone at this point. And yes, I will harp on this until we get to our punchline at the end of the segment. 2 groups in Asia now. The winner of the group is in. Group A, Qatar, UAE, Oman. Group B, Indonesia, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. On paper, Qatar and Saudi should be there.
They should. Iraq, not a bad side. They could. That's where I think that you could see a surprise. UAE finished above Qatar in the last qualifying stage, so it's going to be interesting if Qatar can build off of hosting and actually qualify now. And then, of course, if they don't win the group, then what happens?
Then they go to the 5th round where the second place teams of these groups will play for the right to be in the Intercontinental Playoffs, which will be held most likely entirely in the United States. Maybe one in Canada and Mexico as part of the test run, but we'll get there. But they continue on playing. So if you drop your first one and take 3 points, you might still be good.
Is it for them? Is it going to be like the old days, like the first and second World Cup, where they were taking ships to get there? You played one match, and if you lost, you went back home on the ship.
I mean,
are they going to come here for like a June 4th match to qualify for the
I believe
to play on the 8th? I mean, this is crazy.
I think it's like a 10-day run. I think it's March. It's 10 days in March, and
chaos.
They're going to use it as the dry run for the World Cup to make sure that the hotels and the stadiums and all that are ready.
Is it here, or do they?
It says North America. I'm going to
they
assume.
Are going to put him. Yeah, they are going to put him here then, because you can't have somebody flying from Africa, all the way to Asia, somebody from Asia flying into the Caribbean.
Listen, they've done it before.
They have.
Australia had to go home and home with Uruguay, and New Zealand had to fly to Mexico. I mean,
I think they're taking that out to not tax the players too much, who are still going to be playing, unless you domestic soccer. So that's going to be interesting for sure.
Okay, move on to Africa now. There are a couple of nations which have already qualified, and then a few others on the brink. 2 are in. Tunisia, they've been a power on and off over the years on the African continent, and Morocco, who is one of the top teams in the world right now.
Yeah, they went 3rd in the previous World Cup, so they just keep building. I mean, they've won the group with a few matches to spare. They just steamrolled it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform. I mean, when these groups are drawn, we don't know what to expect. Are some of these what we're going to consider non-traditional, the weaker countries? Are they going to go into, say, a group with Morocco and put up a fight, and all of a sudden we're going, wow, Morocco steamrolled their group. They finished 3rd last time, but they're on their way home after the group stage. There's going to be so many wild cards until we can get not just to the draw, but through all these extra qualifying phases following.
I think for me with Morocco now, they've taken the next step. And between their domestic development and then being able to tap into the Moroccan diaspora in Spain and in France specifically, they have been able to build a really powerful national team. Yeah.
I mean, they've got players that you throw on, your TV on the weekend. You're going to see players playing at some of the Italian clubs, at some of the not just Spanish clubs, and not the lower end. Good clubs in Italy, good clubs in Spain, good clubs in the Netherlands, good clubs in France. They're not, like you see some
You're not
countries,
relegation fodder.
Yeah, and they're not plucking from, League One in England. So they have a shot here to follow up. And if they keep this trajectory, at one point,
an African nation could be the one.
Yeah. When are they going to do it?
They came close last time.
They did.
Looking at it further, Egypt should be in the next round.
Yeah. Once the next set of matches goes, they should be able to qualify. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Senegal's going to go to the wire. So you're going to start getting some of these African teams that we've seen so often in the African Cup of Nations. But then when it came to World Cup qualifying, it was always the Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon, Morocco. They might miss once here or there.
Nigeria was another one.
But they were always spread out. They were never in the same group, so it was always the same 5.
Right.
Now we're going to start seeing some of these other countries jumping in and grabbing spots that you don't traditionally see at a World Cup.
Speaking of Nigeria, currently 3rd in Group C in African qualifying, 6 points behind South Africa. Benin ahead of them as well. A large contingent of players born in France play for Benin, but Nigeria, one of kind of the first African power nations, like you said, along with Cameroon. Players like JJ Okocha went through the Nigerian national team. Some serious talent. They were in the 94 World Cup here in the United States and won over a lot of fans at the time.
And they pushed Italy to the brink up in Foxborough. They were winning until I think it was the 90th minute, and that was the awakening in the tournament of Roberto Baggio. It was his first 2 goals, scored to send it to extra time, converted the penalty. Nigeria goes home. And since then, they were always considered, a good side, a tough side to play against. Now, they're in that part of the cycle. They're struggling a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get, I'm going to say, into the playoff.
I think they would be fortunate to make the playoff. Group D, Cape Verde, Cameroon, Libya. That one could go down to the end. They're all separated by just 2 points. Cameroon and Cape Verde with 2 matches in it, with a match in hand each on Libya. Group F is another one with Gabon and Ivory Coast. That could go down to the wire. Algeria looks in a pretty decent position in Group G. And then Group I, another one could go to the end, is Ghana and Madagascar.
Yeah.
Surprise, Madagascar. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I would still put my money on Ghana to get through the Black Stars, but it's great to see. And then with the African qualifying, what is it? The 4 best second place teams.
Correct.
Go into, I don't know if it's a group or are they getting drawn and they're going to play a home and home and that's it.
It's a bracket.
It's a bracket
of one-off matches. It's all one-offs.
So from 4 will come 1 from there. So you're looking at the table right now for those best second place sides, and it's tight. But you're looking at Gabon, Madagascar, Cameroon, and Senegal. Uganda's right there. So, again, one of those 2 traditional sides usually in there may not even make it as one of the best runners-up because there's a cluster there. So it's going to be real interesting to see how it plays out.
I also have been fascinated over the last 10 years by the rapid development of a lot of nations in Africa. The development of African football has been really something else to watch as some of these countries have really stepped up their game. There are some that are still chasing the pack.
Oh, yeah.
But
there always will be the few that are probably never going to get out of their own way. They are the San Marinos and Liechtensteins and the Luxembourgs that we're used to in Europe. They have theirs as well, just like we do in CONCACAF.
And I think some of them, smaller countries, it was Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. This mountainous country, landlocked by South Africa with like 1 million people in it, getting drawn into a group with Cameroon. That's 60, 70 million people or whatever it is in a country like that. Nigeria, 100 and something million. It's hard to compete when you end up in a situation like that. CONCACAF, let's keep moving.
Yep.
3 teams are in by default.
Yes.
The United States, Mexico, and Canada.
We have qualified.
We are also the hosts.
Thankfully, we're the host, but we'll get into that in segment 3.
Yes, great tease. So they've just started the, third round. of qualifying. Just played the first set of matches here. There's still a lot to sort out. We'll know more in October. Jamaica out to an early start with the win over Bermuda gives them a leg up where Costa Rica, Honduras, Haiti, Nicaragua, everyone drew. You had 2 draws there, which puts someone potentially in some precarious positioning out of the traditional powers, Costa Rica and Honduras, in the same pot. But don't worry, there's more.
Yeah, you get your
Costa Rica in a struggling cycle right now.
They are Honduras. CONCACAF is always interesting because everybody goes through the struggle. And then you get somebody who surprisingly rises. Look at Panama. They came out of nowhere, qualified. Now, El Salvador bouncing back a little bit. That's going to be an interesting group to see who comes out of there. You got Costa Rica and Honduras, and Haiti isn't a bad side. You could have one of Costa Rica or Honduras who have been the last few cycles always challenging to qualify and have qualified at missing out. This is going to get really interesting. And even though it's the third round, what's nice is 2 in September, 2 in October, 2 in November. We know who's going to be there. Long gone are the days of the hex when, by September, we'd be sitting here going, oh, we're in trouble. Are we going to qualify? I remember doing this with the U.S. You had a bad June. Now everything rides on September or you're in deep trouble. And, we've seen how that goes. This is real quick now. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your next 3 sides in the tournament.
So for our viewers that go back with us to the first iteration of this show when Uncle Jeffrey was the owner and alive, that was the 2016-2017 show.
Yeah.
We went to Columbus, and it all went sideways.
It did. We went in the February, and it was the first time they lost to Mexico in Columbus. And then they went to Costa Rica and got smashed 4-0. Klinsmann was out, and Bruce came in to steady the ship.
It was
put him in position to do it, and
it was a guts issue. I mean, we talked about the old shows. I think they're either on a hard drive in a box at the new office. Or I don't know if we have them on the YouTube from then, but I mean the Michael Bradley is walking to take a corner kick in the 90th minute, and we need a goal. Yep. And we're down there for training, and Alejandro Bedoya wants to be carried across the pond because there was rain on the track.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get his boots wet.
Yeah, and thankfully we don't have to go through that now.
We'll have to next time.
We'll have to next time. We'll be through. I don't even know what stage we would come in at because I'll be honest, I haven't been paying attention to as the teams filter in.
We'll probably be we'll be an automatic qualifier somehow.
Hopefully. But
FIFA's just gonna be there's too much money. They're in.
Yeah, but it's so it's gonna be fascinating. The September window, the October window, the November windows with all of these sections of the world, because the final one we're going to talk about is South America, and we are at the point.
So there are 6 qualified. By the time this airs Wednesday night, as we taper a little bit earlier, you will know whether Bolivia or Venezuela are the playoff team. So Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Ecuador, Colombia, and Paraguay have all punched their ticket. It was a national holiday in Paraguay the day after.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been there. South American qualifying is always great. It's one group, 10 countries, unless somebody's host. But 10 countries, they play each other twice. 18 matches. This is a marathon. And it's always fun to see how it goes. Your traditionals, Argentina, Brazil, how are they going to go through? Argentina, just a smooth sailing. Brazil, couple speed bumps, but second place, qualifying handily. Then you have your group of countries: Uruguay, Ecuador, Colombia, Paraguay, separated by 2 points. It's been amazing to follow, and they're there, and these are sides you do not want to play.
No, elite level talent throughout the continent, especially with those first 6 that have qualified. And don't laugh at Venezuela.
No,
that is a very, very dangerous, talented side with players who mainly ply their trade in South America. A couple of them are in MLS, but nobody who's really of any importance, unfortunately, for MLS. Really nobody of any importance in Major League Soccer for them. These guys have now, again, a country that for years everybody was playing in Caracas and all of those teams are now throughout Europe and throughout the Americas, specifically in South America, and performing well. Bolivia, again, they have La Paz. They've got the monster that is El Alto playing, thousands and thousands of feet above sea level. It's the place where everyone's legs go to die, essentially.
Yeah.
And, beating Bolivia in La Paz, almost impossible.
Yeah. You've seen Brazil go there and fall. And funny enough, that's who Bolivia's last match is. Argentina's gone there and not won. It's a place. It's worse than Mexico City.
Double.
You can't breathe up there, and for these players, they can't handle it. And that was always the place when Bolivia would always be in the mix to qualify, is because they won all their home matches.
Yeah. Estadio Municipal de El Alto is 13,412 feet above sea level.
Yeah, and
they performed again. They clipped off draws and wins in El Alto, makes them very difficult to play. It's also a nation where most of the squad plays in the Bolivian domestic league. So they are used to this. And I know that, for a while, people used to say that about Mexico. Oh, the Americans, we got to go to Mexico. They're at such an advantage. There was a 20-year period where all the Mexican players were playing in Europe, too.
Yeah.
So they had to go back and, try to fight through the same altitude because, and there's no guarantee that they were all from Mexico City. You're working on that assumption, right? Like, what if a guy's from Tijuana, which is 2 feet above sea level on the beach, and then he's playing his soccer in Venezia, which is like below sea level. Oh, he's got to go to Mexico City.
Yeah, it's
this is different.
Yeah, this is way different. And that final round, who do Venezuela have? Let's just check that quick, because I know that
Venezuela have Colombia.
Home to Colombia.
On today, the day of broadcast, so you will know.
Yeah, and both stadiums will be hot. Bolivia a point behind. They have to better the result.
And they have Brazil at home.
Yep. I mean, could you imagine beating Brazil? Venezuela drops points, and you go into the playoff because you beat Brazil at home on the final day.
It would be a party unlike any other in La Paz that evening.
Yeah.
And it's one I would want to be a part of.
and that's just to get to the playoff. But for
them, that would be the biggest win in the history of Bolivian soccer.
Well, since 1994.
1994.
They were here, and that's when Echeverri got sent off, 10 minutes after he came on, or 5 minutes after he came on?
I think it was 2 minutes into the match.
Yeah. He got against Germany, Soldier Field, opening match, sent off. His tournament was over.
Unfortunate, too, because he was a magician with the ball at his feet. And in the early days of Major League Soccer, when it was touch and go if the league was going to make it, it was players like him and Carlos Valderrama who were, I'm going to borrow a Ray Hudson. He follows me on the Bird app. Magisterial with the ball at their feet for club and country. Franchise and country, I should say, when they were here. But and it was a shame that the world didn't get to see more of Marco Echeverri in the 1994 World Cup. But a guy like that, when we did get to watch him play, he was my favorite player in MLS when I was a kid.
Being at that time a Metro Stars fan, it was hard to like him, but he was, even though he was with DC, he was a joy to watch.
Donadoni.
Yep.
How good was Roberto Donadoni with the ball at his feet?
I know that whole crew when the league started. They were absolute magicians, and we laugh a little bit about all these extra countries, the expanded World Cup. But on the flip side,
you get those players,
and imagine being some of these Asian countries. Imagine being Venezuelan right now, knowing you have a shot to get there, because there were countries. It was never going to happen when it was 24 or when it was 32. It just Trinidad so close in 1990. It took them almost 20 years to finally qualify all those cycles. And, now it's a little more real for some of these countries to get there. So while we're also going, oh my God, it's never going to end. It's so long. Everybody's going to be in.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the celebrations. That's when you go on to X and you find the videos of the celebrations of some of these countries who have never qualified before and likely would not have if not for the expanded tournament.
I'm not saying that I favor a smaller tournament. I lament the qualification process, and I think it's not even that. It's the way that the bids were assigned for me. Mm-hmm. I think Europe should have had a heavier weight in that.
Yeah.
Just because it's the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that they want to grow the game throughout the world, and I think it's good that Africa got a couple extra spots and that Asia got a couple extra spots. CONCACAF, I'm not so sold on. The extra.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this will look for the next World Cup because we're not hosting. Where are we still going to have 6+1? I think that's excessive. I could see 4+1 for CONCACAF because I think we're the second weakest out of the lot. But
I think it stays. It just happened that there were 3 automatics for here because it's the next World Cup. It's in a few different countries as well. So you're going to have a couple from South America and a couple from Europe automatically in. So, I think the breakdown is going to remain bid-wise on how many are going to go. But it's going to be... It's going to be very interesting in the next cycle for us because we come back in Canada, Mexico. So now for CONCACAF, the heavy hitters are coming back, even though we're struggling right now. And Canada's struggling. Even Mexico's struggling a little bit.
Mexico's struggling too, yeah.
We're still the heavy hitters. So
comparatively, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. The next cycle, South America, I believe they picked up 1.5 or...
I would have favored 2 for South America.
I think they had 5. They had half going. Now it's 6.5.
And a half, yeah.
They had 1 go into the playoff every time.
Yeah.
So I think it was 5 and a chance for 6. Now it's 6 and a chance for 7. But you can't give South America 10 bids.
Theoretically, talent-wise, we could.
Almost.
And I think that's the difficult part of this. Mm-hmm. And then we'll pause for halftime. And we'll wrap up qualifying and have a little World Cup talk about 2030 and 2034 and that whole process after this break. We do have one more federation to hit, but I'll save my topic.
Okay.
Let's wrap up with Oceania. We'll take the break, and then I'll lead off with what I want to talk about in terms of taking a team from UEFA and how would they match up in CONCACAF or Chile and put them in one of these other other groups, and we'll get into that. The last one is Oceania. It's pretty cut and dry at this point.
Yeah.
Until they either voluntarily leave for Asia, as the Australians did, or kind of get voted out, which I don't even know if they can do that, especially considering the headquarters for the Confederation are in Auckland. New Zealand is the AQ. They are your automatic qualifier in perpetuity for the World Cup. And, another topic. I could go off on this one where I love to follow soccer down there in Australia and New Zealand. And when New Zealand didn't have any professional clubs and when New Zealand didn't have really a formalized national league, it made sense because they were playing with all these other islands. Rugby forever was going to be the national sport. And then a bunch of Croatians showed up in the 80s. And then a bunch of Italians followed them in the 90s. And now they have a really good soccer team. And they have 2 professional clubs and a couple amateur clubs that are masquerading. They're pro clubs masquerading as amateur clubs in their domestic league. They're in every time now. Nobody's going to knock them off.
Yeah, especially just how the qualifying works there. They're the strongest. It's like when Australia was there, they were always going to the playoff. It just took them forever to win the playoff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be same. New Zealand will go in, and what is it? New Caledonia is in the Intercontinental.
Yeah, New Caledonia is in the playoff. And the benefit now of having these 2 professional sides, and even, look at their domestic league with Auckland City, who had that famous result against Boca in the Club World Cup, pulling the draw against them. They've now developed talent where, if you look at the roster, Chris Wood, longtime Premier League player. They have players in Ligue 1 and in the Championship and in multiple championship players. Things have changed for a nation like that, and in a way, you could say it's almost not a fair fight for New Caledonia and Fiji in this, and I think the OFC has taken a step to address that. They're starting a professional league.
Yeah, and
so maybe that helps a little bit, but I mean, the problem is now you're going to take an Auckland City, put them in the OFC league, they just pump the cash, they keep developing the New Zealand players, and they keep winning. So, it's good for them, but at some point, guys, you got to make the jump.
Don't make it. You're going to be nailed on qualifiers. So I go somewhere else and finish 5th in the second round and be eliminated.
Well, yeah, the money is in making it.
Yeah, you got to stay where you are.
Great segment, and it brought us right to halftime.
All right.
We'll be back with more on the Corner Kick from X Golf, 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton. Have you racked up over $15,000 in credit card debt? Do the collection calls ring nonstop? There's a solution to the situation the banks don't want you to know about. CuraDebt has over 20 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews. Call the CuraDebt Credit Solutions hotline today to see if you qualify. 877-835-0026. No obligation, 100% confidential. CuraDebt Credit Solutions. 877-835-0026. CuraDebt Credit Solutions now. 877-835-0026. 877-835-0026. Call today. Superior Hardware, located at 400 South 3rd Street in Bangor, is your go-to source for home improvement supplies in the Slate Belt. With a variety of tools, screws, nuts, bolts, and more, Superior Hardware is the place to shop for your hardware needs. Superior Hardware offers a full line of Milwaukee tools, the highest quality power tools available. In addition to their in-store offerings, Superior Hardware ships nationwide via their website, www.superiorhardwarebangor.com. So you don't even have to live in the Slate Belt or drive to Bangor to sample all that Superior Hardware has to offer. Superior Hardware is open Monday to Friday from 7 till 5, Saturday from 7:30 to 4, and Sunday from 9 to 2. Call them at 610-588-3205 or stop by their location at 400 South 1st Street in Bangor to jumpstart your home improvement projects today. That's Superior Hardware, 400 South 1st Street in Bangor. X Golf, located just off the 25th Street exit of Route 22 in Easton, offers a premier golf simulation experience. With some of the most realistic indoor golf simulators you've ever seen, X Golf is the premier place to work on your game before you hit the courses around the Lehigh Valley. If it's driving that needs work, putting that needs practice, or that pesky short game that haunts you, X Golf is the perfect spot to perfect your swing. Bring your clubs, borrow one of our in-house sets, big up your friends, and come on down to X Golf for a fun time. It's always 72 and sunny at X Golf, and double bogeys are welcome, so you don't have to worry about a cart full of golfers behind you on hole 7. To schedule your tee time, call X Golf at 484-250-0391. That's 484-250-0391. X Golf, 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton, right off the 25th Street exit of Route 22. Welcome back here to the Corner Kick on CWTAP. We're at X Golf, 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton. Alex and JJ with you once again as we turn the midweek on a Sports Wednesday. You had PFN taps into the state, the Great Pennsylvania Football News Highlights Show, new feature from NFHS this week, and we wrapped up at 8 o'clock the State of PA Football. Little break with the Red Green Show because we all need a little duct tape. And you know where you can get your duct tape? Superior Hardware, 400 South First Street in Bangor, our fine sponsor. And you can even order it from them at superiorhardwarebangor.com.
Well done. You don't even have that written out. Kind of like when you nail the read without the read.
It's also the script from the commercial. I've got it memorized now. And we use it during the live reads for the games. Right? This portion of the contest being brought to you by Queens Nutritional Products, 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. Joe and Gloria Novak, the proprietors. That's Jolly Joe Timmer's commercial. I'll never forget it. But
yep, some of those things that just stick, right?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's when we'll get back in the show. When I did the Queens commercial, as Queens Nutritional is one of our sponsors again, I played it for Joe Novak at the store, and he's like, "Isn't this the same script and music that Jolly Joe used on the radio?" I said, "It's not broken." He goes, "We don't need to fix it if it's not broken." He's like, you use the same inflections and everything." I was like, "It's not broken. People will remember that, and it works." And there's my sales pitch. If it ain't broke,
if you think it's broke,
then you fix it.
And the U.S. men's national team is starting to appear a bit broken.
Well done. Well done. I'm going home. Tom's going to come in. He's going to fill in here the rest of the show. But yeah, the U.S. does appear to be coming apart at the seams again. Another manager, and you look at what's happening with Mauricio Pochettino. It's not necessarily getting any better, and it's not looking good right now. And this last set of matches here in 2025, I'm not really encouraged by. Take the Gold Cup, we thumped Trinidad, big deal. Oh, Camp Cupcake in January, big deal.
Yeah.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty now where we've got, 3 windows left before we have the World Cup. And I guess you could say a 4th window in early June when you've got your final squad and you get that, send-off match in. Yeah,
they got the one more match against Japan coming up, and then it's, and I believe by the time this show...
You will have the result.
It'll be over.
Potentially not good.
Yeah, and then there's the October, November window, and then they'll have that one in, I think it's going to be March. Because they eliminated the February window. So I believe it's March, because that's when all the final qualifiers are getting played. That's the one where they've got to go out and get a couple big-time opponents over here, like in Argentina or Brazil, and you got to find that already qualified top European side. You got to bring a Spain or a France over, or Germany to come in here to start to put the finishing touches. I know the Gold Cup's the Gold Cup. If the U.S. had beaten Mexico in the final, I wonder what everybody would be thinking right now.
I still wouldn't be encouraged because we're in the run-in. And this whole year needed to be hyper-focused on this run-in to the World Cup. And that meant the A-listers, for me, this is my opinion. You're the host nation. You don't play through qualifying, and you have these 2 joke tournaments. You have to go out with your best squad and run roughshod over your confederation. And I understand the idea that people would say, oh, you don't want to risk injury. Well, Gio Reyna's going to probably get hurt anyway. He's made of paper mache. No offense to him. Show the kid a weight room. But to me, we're pushing on further and further. And okay, maybe the Gold Cup has always been the B-listers, for the last couple cycles. All right, I'll give you that. But we're in a friendly cycle with B-listers. And how do we know that we're not going to get more of them the next go?
Yeah. I don't have too much of an issue with the players he brought in leaving somewhere they are. Because we don't have to qualify, it's a different long game. So instead of we need to bring everybody in because we have to win September matches to qualify, maybe make it a little easier in October, or, we got to win these so we have a better shot in October and November. The long game is different. We definitely have some players that we know like to pick up injuries. And the long game right now is if you have your oft-injured players, if you have players that just changed clubs, do you want to bring them in to risk their spot that all of a sudden in October, November, December, they get maybe 100 minutes across all those club matches? It's an interesting time. It's a hard time, I think, for Pochettino to try and figure this out. Because, Pulisic took the summer off. He's back in. Weston McKennie, not in. Tyler Adams is back. And I think he's mixing and matching, but also trying to look at this bigger picture.
And with Weston, too, he told the media, we know Weston. That to me is, and I'm okay with that, saying we know who these guys are, or if a guy, Haji Wright, coming off injury is hot, let him just keep scoring goals in the championship.
Exactly.
That's fine. But to me, if you have your core guys and they're locked in starters, you want to make sure that they're in for at least one or two of these cycles.
I think the business end is going to start, for me, more in November.
With Paraguay and Uruguay.
Yeah. Ecuador and Australia, maybe, but I think it's going to be similar to this. The fringe players will be whittled down. You'll get some people back from here, some of the others, and a couple of the core. For me, it's November's when you start, because you have two good opponents that are going to be coming here. You're going to want when he's going to, I think, start to really ratchet it up on everybody, because you're going to play those two in November. You're going to have your two in March. You're going to have your provisional squad, with a couple reserves.
Right.
You're playing your two matches in late May, early June.
Yeah.
Maybe one behind closed doors, and you're into the tournament.
And that's leaving out the January national team, like the Camp Cupcake, if you want to call it that. That doesn't count. Right.
I mean, for me,
that's domestic players, and that's
count.
it.
Yeah. So leave your Haji Wright in England.
Josh
Sargent missed most of last year. He didn't get to see him. Got in the end of last season, scored some goals for Norwich, opened up on fire, brought him back. Yep, get your looking with him now. Haji Wright, you're probably bringing him in October.
I think a lot of the attackers he brought in are guys who will make the final squad. I will say that on this round. Josh Sargent, right now, looking good.
Yeah.
Pulisic, obviously, he's Captain America is
There's only one way he doesn't make the squad, and we're not going to talk about what that would be.
We're not bringing that up. No, we don't talk about that. Timothy Weah, I think, healthy, lock. Balogun, healthy, lock.
Yep.
And then I would argue that because he's been in and out for quite some time under a number of managers, Zendejas, if he goes strong in the spring with America, could make it. I think he could make it towards the bottom of the roster, but he's one of those guys in North America who could make it. In the midfield in this camp, Tyler Adams is a lock.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Everyone else is a question mark. Luna is probably better than 50%. If he keeps this up.
Oh yeah, with the way he played in the summer, I think he's in. I'm going even a little further. I think he's in.
And I think Luna also is playing himself to position himself, whether it maybe not in January, and I was hoping it would have been now, but he's established himself as the dominant midfielder in Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
And I've kind of come around to your theory. Play it out through the World Cup.
Then go.
At Salt Lake. Rip through the league for another 8 months, 9 months, because you are just so much better than the rest of these players that are around you. Get through the World Cup, and then in July of 26, La Liga or Liga or wherever it is waiting for him.
Yeah.
Another player who I think is in that boat. He's less than 50% to make the World Cup, but that June 26 move is in the offing. It's going to be for Jack McGlynn because there have been a couple of sniffs around from Europe. I think Garber Bucks wants too much for him right now, so they're holding off. After the World Cup, I think they'll loosen those reins and say, okay, it's time for him to go as well.
And for like him and Luna, if they make that final squad and they get some game time, and they play well, they're definitely, both of them, writing their ticket. And then Donnie Sockers will get probably closer to what he wants dollar-wise, but they have to prove it there.
I think McGlynn...
That's the one that gets the dollars higher.
Yes. For me, right now, McGlynn's in the 2 to 4 range. Luna probably 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Luna keeps his tear up. He'll be 10
to 12, and McGlynn will be up to that
6 to 8,
yeah,
maybe even 10 if he has a good run.
Yep.
In the back, Serginho Dest coming back. Serginho Dest was banged up.
Yep.
I think Dest, as long as he's healthy, is a lock.
Yeah.
Chris Richards, as long as he's healthy, is going to be a lock.
Yeah.
Tim Ream, as crazy as it sounds, as long as he's healthy,
yeah,
he's the veteran leader. And I personally said, I've said this multiple times, St. Louis, the friendly, his hometown, should have been it. But at the same time, when I look at reliability in the U.S. center back pool, he's one of our more reliable center backs right now.
He is.
That's not to say there aren't others. I think by the World Cup, he won't be the starter.
Right. He's going to be the one, when you're a goal up, hanging on late, you put him in the middle of the park. He's just going to head everything out. He's going to take charge of the back line.
And they will follow him, yes.
Yeah. No, that's why I think it's the only reason why I said that. He's 37. His legs are going. Everybody knows it. But because you can have 26 instead of 23,
he could be there.
It makes sense to bring him along.
Well, and like you said, he's slowing down. Well, let's say you have Chris Richards and McKenzie from Toulouse starting at center back around him, right? You have McKenzie and Richards side by side. You stick them in the middle.
Yeah.
Where there's cover from 4 guys and the D-mids in front of him who are way faster at this point, and he was never really fast to begin with.
Oh,
Ream.
Oh, he did well as a center back. When they stuck him on the left, you saw how slow he was.
Yeah.
But that for me is it. Go in, get in the middle of the park, head everything out of there. Nobody gets past you. Seal the game for us.
For a couple of these other players, it's audition time once again. Alex Freeman from Orlando City. It's a matter of time. Max Arfston didn't look good against Mexico. He gets his redemption shot in this window to maybe get himself a move into a middling club somewhere in Europe and get more bucks than Columbus will pay him.
Yeah.
Nathan Harriel, it's like last chance saloon for him. Tristan Blackman, it's a thank you, sir. You've been a loyal servant to the league. And Banks is somebody for the future from Augsburg.
Yeah. It's again, didn't call in the full boat of regular defenders, and that's fine because you probably know he probably knows who his 4 or 5 are.
I think
the problem
so.
is he's got to get 6, 7, and 8.
Well,
and none of these players, to me, are good enough to say, I am number 6, or I may push to start. It's almost like left back, we got to find that. Dest is on the right. We know who probably the
pair in the middle are.
We probably know the 4.
Yeah.
He probably knows who the 4 are who are going to go.
Yeah.
As long as there's no injuries. And he knows, okay, these are the 2. This is the 3rd. This is the 4th. Or these are my rights, my lefts, and I know the starters and the reserves.
The biggest red flag remains the goalkeeper position. Roman Celentano got called into the camp this time. He's one for the future. He's 24. He's young for a goalkeeper. He has been a starter for Cincinnati, who's been a pretty good franchise on the pitch-wise for a couple of years now. I think there's a move in the offing down the line, and he'll be in the mix more next time. Jonathan Klinsmann, this is, I think, hey, he's getting starts in Serie B. Let's give him the shot.
Yeah.
And he could crack this, and if he has a good fall and a good spring, is he coming into the last friendly round in March with a legit shot, not just to make the team, but bump everybody as the starter. You don't know.
You don't, because it's so wide open. It's the position with the biggest questions, and it never used to be that way. Matt Turner, why he made the move to Arsenal, I will never know, because there was no way he was ever going to play.
It was the worst spot. I think, for me, I would have rather seen him in the championship.
Yeah, because then it goes to Forest. And you saw all the flaws. He got found out. He got found out to the point that he transferred to Lyon, who then couldn't sign him because of their financial situation. And there's nowhere else for him to go except to come back to MLS and New England. And, Freeze, after the Gold Cup, is getting a serious look. Turner hasn't really played in a year and a half. He's played a few matches, and then he's gotten benched. Horvath is with
Horvath lost the job,
and he moved, and he got a loan to Sheffield Wednesday, where he's starting because they don't have enough players, so he's getting at least game time.
Well, Wednesday is a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby and I were going over this a little bit as to their financial woes, the backstory behind it. And even that McElhaney and Reynolds and that whole group let their fans put up a banner inside the ground 2 weeks ago protesting their owner.
Yeah.
And, calling Vince Vaughn, Matthew McConaughey. I think Sheffield Wednesday could be all right.
Hey, listen, it's probably the second best name in England.
Leighton Orient's way better.
And the Villa's, of course, the top.
We celebrated you not being here last week. Go back and watch the replay, baby. But, let's take a look at the rest of the pool now, as we're going to stay with this U.S. topic. And I'm going to bring it up in front of us on our computer screen here. It's too much to actually put up on the screen. And so I could maybe I'll screenshot the Wikipedia page and we'll put that up for everybody. We have this pool of goalkeepers that no one seems to want the job or deserve it. With Turner, Chris Brady's too young in Chicago. He's one for the future. Stefan, I was in Columbus when the ring rust, as you texted me, was falling off of him. You could hear it clinking down the street. Schulte is coming into his own, but not there. He could either be a lower level player in Europe or an MLS lifer in net. Diego Cochin's one for the future. Horvath finally finding some minutes. Callender got screwed by Miami in the league. To bring in Ustari, it was Messi buddy. He fell by the wayside. Now Ben Kramaski has basically exited stage right. It's a year and change. It's a year. I think it's like a year and a half loan or something, or a year loan to Parma with option to buy at the end of it. AKA he's gone.
Yeah.
And now there's a bit of a black eye on the Miami office that they are clear in their agenda. And if you are a young American player, at least for the next 2 years, because he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Old number 10 isn't leaving yet. If you're an American player, that is the worst franchise you could either sign with as a kid or be assigned to.
Yeah.
Because you are not a priority.
No. And they'll bring in another couple old heads once Suarez leaves, probably at the end of this season.
And Busquets is gone.
Yep. And
the only one who's still got legs to him is Jordy.
Yeah, but
he's aging too.
Yeah, in a year or so, you'll get found out as well, because it's just what happens. Especially down there, the heat that they play in, because they have to play in the summer.
We'll get more into Miami in the free-for-all.
Yeah, it's going to catch up to them pretty quick.
In the back, again, they've run through this list of 15, 20 players in the last year. Zimmerman's not going to the World Cup. Miles is probably not going to the World Cup, in my eyes. I know that people think he should be in the mix. For me, the day Miles Robinson got hurt and didn't move, it should have been, thank you very much, have a nice day, we're moving on.
Yeah.
McKenzie, Toulouse, starting, got to be close to a lock.
Yep.
Tolkien is one for the future. He's going to be a one-cycle guy. I'm not high on him. I don't think he's good enough. Watching him from Red Bull, in person, there are guys who move that you knew would be impact. When I watched Tyler Adams at 15, 16, 17, prior to moving to Pittsburgh, you just knew that this kid had it.
Yeah.
And I know it didn't work out in Europe for him, but another center, it was Miazga, was a center back who went to the wrong club.
Yep.
If he went to Germany or
the Netherlands,
or I think it was Legia Warsaw that was interested. Like if he went to one of those, he's probably still there, and you just knew he could play at that level, right? Tolkien, to me, I watch him, and I watch the left backs before him, guys like Murillo, Escobar, and Kamar Lawrence. Like watching Kamar Lawrence to him is this huge drop off, and Kamar Lawrence struggled in Europe.
Yeah.
Now, and Tolkien went to a relegation fodder side.
He did, but the good thing is he's getting time. He's doing all right. So
for the future, can he be better?
So this could be the season where he makes that bit of the jump where he is getting on this roster.
Could he be the backup left back?
Right. There's a spot now, for him, and he could sneak in there.
I think Anthony Robinson, as long as he's healthy,
he's in.
Yep. Moore is off the picture. He's a Camp Cupcake player now. Scally probably going to be in as long as he's healthy.
He should be there.
And this is the interesting crop. Then you've got Christopher Lund, youngster from Cologne, 23, Trusty at Celtic, Vickers at Celtic, who I think you can make shouts for some of these guys. Vickers has been very good over the last couple of seasons. And then one for the future is Caleb Wiley at Watford.
Yeah, to me, Carter Vickers, I don't think is much appreciated in U.S. soccer circles.
No.
He just went to Celtic. He wins league titles. He's playing the Champions League. He's going to be playing in the Europa League this season. He's playing against very good teams, and it's strange that he hasn't been able to break into the squad a bit bigger. I wonder what's going on in training or whatever.
I think there is a negative stigma towards the Scottish Premier League from the American community, American soccer community, not the American soccer community that would call them the Euro snobs like me, like who know what the league is.
Yeah.
And yes, the bottom of it is probably USL grade, but the top 6 are pretty solid, and the top 2 would run roughshod through MLS without losing a match.
Yeah.
But there's this stigma that, it's Scotland. If it's Celtic and Rangers and then you don't play anybody else. That's not true. You're still playing Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen. These teams still have talent, and if you look at Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, a lot of national team players on them. It might not be the U.S. There's like 20 Australians that play in Scottish league that cycle through their national team. There are good players in that league, and like you said, domestically plays some decent talent, and then in Europe they're playing elite competition.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there, but he's somebody that I'd be interested in. Campbell's gone over to West Brom, and he won that move by going to probably the worst situation in Major League Soccer right now. From Atlanta to a Montreal office with a franchisee who is checked out.
Yeah.
He has his golden toy that he's always been after, I think, in Bologna and Joey Saputo. And the team that he spent so many years investing into and building and bringing these legendary names and being this kind of beacon in French Canada of bringing in, whether it was Nesta and DeVio or Drogba. This is an also-ran franchise now. I mean, I looked at Montreal's roster. It is a zero effort to build roster right now. He went there and performed against the odds and won the move.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he makes it as an outside back, but like good for him that he was able to get the jump. But as you could see, we have like who is the backup right back and who is the backup left back?
Yeah.
Like could George Campbell be one of the backup outside defenders?
He could, and these are some of the things he's got to get. That's why I think that October window is the last time Poach goes and tries to find out. He just moved. don't want to bring him in right away. You're going to
Let
wait
him
till
settle,
October, see
Yeah.
how he's doing. If he's playing, if he is, then you can call him back for 2. And then if he's up to snuff, he's coming in November, he's coming in March. Otherwise, just go play with your club and get your dollars.
Now we start to get more into where the meat of the roster is. And this is where I think there's a lot more room for discussion as to who are these 8 in the middle of the park that you're going to look at. You know, because when they're healthy, you could make a shout for a number of these guys. Some of them might be one cycle away, but there are others who I think you could shout for. I think Brendan Aronson is one of those guys. If he's healthy, probably will make the squad.
Yeah, he'll be there.
Malik Tillman, as long as he's healthy, will make the squad. Johnny Cardoso's an interesting one. I think Poch knows what he has with Cardoso. Got this big move to Atleti, is seeing time.
Yep.
Cardoso's healthy. Cardoso is in. I think he brought him in the last window, not even so much to play him because he didn't.
He put him in the shop window.
It was to get him in there, see what he had in person in training, and be like, okay, I see why you're at Atleti.
Yeah.
You're in. Then there's a couple of players. You look at Abusio one away. He's a next time guy.
Or he's
Or is he 26?
Or he's when they call in the 30, like, oh, we have 4 players that if something happens, they're coming in.
He could be one of them.
He's going to be somewhere there. The bottom or one of those, I think, if somebody gets injured just for the tournament, he's in.
2 other players I think that are firmly in that mix are Aiden Morris, who just got the move to Middlesbrough, and Tessman, who is seeing significant time at Lyon. If Tessman isn't in the squad, he's going to be one of those extra potential bodies where it's, if somebody goes down, we know we can rely on you. And that bodes well for the next cycle because most of the players we are naming will still be involved for 30.
Yeah, because they're in their lower to mid 20s, and mid being 25. I mean, I'm not saying 26, 27. These are 25 and younger who would be around for another cycle. I think those are the ones in the mix.
Weston's in.
Weston will be there.
And Gio, as long as he's healthy, I think will make the squad. I don't know.
I don't think so.
You think he's out?
I think he's out right now. He hasn't played. Just made the move. We'll see what's going to happen at Mönchengladbach.
Very young, though. Still plenty of time.
Yes, but this may be for him in Europe the last chance saloon. In at least one of the bigger countries. Otherwise, if he doesn't do it
Netherlands,
here, where does he go?
Belgium.
Or he's going to have to.
Or is he coming back?
He's going to have to run home. His biggest problem is he's injured all the time. I do not see him at this point in time making the final squad.
Kremoski's one for next time. We talked about him. Up front,
Yeah.
we went through this crop here. Sargent, Pulisic, Balogun, Weah all seem like reasonably locked-in players. Zendejas could be part of the extra 4. And then now, there's some interesting moving parts here. Yunus Musa, as long as he's healthy and getting minutes, is he someone who is a lock for the World Cup?
Yeah, he divides a lot of people, too. They either love him or hate him.
I like him.
And he just moved to Atalanta. Good move for him. Hopefully he'll get plenty of time there, just like Haji Wright is now at Coventry. We talked about him already.
I think Wright's somebody who could be one of those guys in the squad if he continues this torrid pace.
Yeah.
Patrick Adjumong got that move to Derby. It's a wait and see.
Yeah. Yep. He's one of those, he made the move at the start of the season of the World Cup. If he plays, he's going to be in with a shout.
I think Ricardo Pepi is another question mark who needs to produce a little. But I think his odds of making the squad are in that 50 to 60% range.
Yep, and he's just coming off injury. Everybody's got to remember, that's why I didn't play in the summer. He was out through injury. He's with PSV. He's with a good team. I think they're leading the league again, or they're in second on goal difference. But they're going to challenge, and the manager plays him. He's not there and just coming off the bench getting 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there when they need a goal. He plays. They're bringing him in nice. They're not rushing him back because he missed most of the summer. But if he's playing, he's scoring goals. How do you keep him off the roster?
I think it's very difficult. I think Cade Cowell in Guadalajara, that's one for the future. I don't think he's in the mix this time. Jesus Ferreira, I don't know what his future is. Didn't leave.
Yeah.
Is playing in Seattle, playing reasonably well, I suppose. But
how about from this list, Mr. Morris, Jordan.
Can I do the Jermaine Jones impression? Yeah, as I was a kid, he tell me he stay home because his mom got his girlfriend as a puppy dog. Yeah, what is this? He got a puppy dog. He's staying home. I'd say to him, "What are you doing, Jordan? You should go to the Bundesliga, and Jordan Morris had potential. If Jordan Morris made the move and tested it out and failed and came back, I think a lot of people, myself included, probably would have sang a different story. And listen, good for Jordan Morris. He stayed home. He stayed in Seattle. He's a lifer for the Sounders. He's from there. He's a hometown kid. He made a lot of money.
Yeah,
but there's always going to be this what could have been for Jordan Morris that I'm going to say that could have been as great as he was, as legendary as he was, Landon Donovan.
That's what I was saying. He's part two, just not as good.
Yeah. One player who I think made a bad move, paid for it, who could have been in this cycle if he made the right move somewhere, even if it was in Mexico or to Europe, was Brandon Vasquez. I've always liked him. He's this big physical forward. I talked about that 2 weeks ago, but just didn't work out for him in Monterrey. Wrong club. Big pressure, didn't respond well, didn't win the job, and now, back in MLS, probably out of the picture for good.
Yeah, I think a player who made a more of a worrying move was Paxton Aronson, coming back to Colorado.
That should be it.
He's 22. Why would you do that? I don't understand it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
Well, the Rapids have also become retread central for national team players who took a cup of coffee over there and then decided to come back. Sam Vines, Reggie Cannon, Paxton Aronson, now Zach Steffen in there as well.
Yeah.
Cole Bassett, I believe, was another one who went to a couple clubs on loan and never left. Might still be young enough at 24 to go one more time. Darren Yappy, I think, was one.
Yeah.
We'll call up Aronson here. It broke the internet.
Yeah, the internet's not happy with him.
So there you go.
Yeah, so he was in what, the Netherlands?
He was in Eintracht Frankfurt for 2 years too,
and he was out on loan to a couple of the Dutch sides, back to Frankfurt, back and forth. I just don't get why come back here.
No, I think there was another opportunity out there for Paxton Aronson on the continent that he could have taken in Europe rather than come back to Major League Soccer.
Is he on loan or did he transfer?
No, he's gone.
He transferred back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's open this up. It would say loan. Yeah, no, he's gone. He's back.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
That's the national team pool right now. I think we've pinned down probably 20 of the 26 for sure.
Yeah.
It's that last 6 and then the extra 4. And even the extra 4, I think we know who at least 2, if not 3 of them might be right now.
Yeah.
And this is what it's going to be for better or worse for the U.S. national team.
Yeah, and this game against Japan will be interesting, and then the October roster. Like I said, I still think that's the last crack at this, and then maybe push surprises in October is when he starts this. But I think definitely by November he's going to be bringing in the bulk of the players and saying it's time.
What do we make of Mexico right now?
I try not to think about them too much, to be honest. All 3, Canada too. It's just a struggle.
I think they're in a very tough spot too.
The 3 countries, U.S., Mexico, Canada, they're all in a tough spot. Not because necessarily the players are bad. It's because of the Nations League, and all we can do is play countries that aren't as good, and all of a sudden you just hit that rut. you can't win games, or you're drawing games you shouldn't draw, and the managers, there's no qualifying, nothing matters. And that's the hard part. I was like, well, the Gold Cup mattered. It did, to me, more than the Nations League. And the U.S. went to the final and lost to Mexico. They made the final. Okay. To me, that's kind of...
That's expected.
Yeah. And U.S.-Mexico, I don't care. The game was played in the U.S. It's a neutral game because CONCACAF runs it. Most of the stadium isn't going to be for the U.S. And they did what they had to do. Canada struggling. Mexico, again, when they're playing in Mexico in the group stage and they're going to be playing at the Azteca, they'll be getting out of the group.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's pretty safe. You want to just roll into free-for-all, or you want to take a quick break?
Hey, your call. You want to pay the bills?
Yeah, let's pay the bills, and then we'll be back with the final segment of the Corner Kick.
We at Lifeline Screening have screened over 9 million people over 25 years. We identify your risk of stroke, cardiovascular disease, and other chronic illnesses. We use state-of-the-art ultrasound technology to look into your arteries to identify your plaque levels. During your screening, we examine the carotid arteries in the neck for plaque buildup that can lead to a stroke. We check your abdominal aorta for an aneurysm, a ballooning of this large artery in your belly which can rupture if it gets too big. We evaluate the pressures in your arms and ankles and calculate what is called an ankle brachial index. This is an indirect way to assess the flow in the arteries of legs and identify risks for more cardiovascular disease. We scan your shin bone to determine the density of the bone and derive risk for osteoporosis. And lastly, atrial fibrillation. If we detect anything that requires urgent attention, we will notify you immediately so you can contact your physician for follow-up. Screenings are simple, non-invasive, painless, and we have convenient locations throughout the United States. And of course, screenings provide peace of mind or early detection. Schedule your screening today.
And we're back here on the Corner Kick, CWTAP TV. Alex and JJ at X Golf 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton with Pebble Beach behind us this
Pebble
week.
Beach 18.
It's an iconic hole, and you can play through it right here, and I'm going to go do that when we're done.
Oh, boy.
I'll be here when they close it.
You'll be here, on Friday.
Most likely, yeah. No, I get through these holes like +1 now.
Hey, big upgrade from the first time we were here.
Oh, well, that was bad. But let's get into the free-for-all final segment this week again. Without, the leagues in play, we just circled around this thing. Start off with Luis Suarez and the Miami debacle in the Leagues Cup, where several of their players made a mockery of the beautiful game, and suspensions handed down in Leagues Cup, and then some additional punishment from MLS to Suarez. I am obviously not a fan of the Miami office and the setup that is going on there right now. Could you justify the MLS suspensions, even though this is a separate tournament? There are camps that will say yes and camps that will say no.
For me, it's an absolute no. Leagues Cup, it's a made-up tournament with the U.S. franchises and the Mexican clubs. It is not the U.S. Open Cup, a domestic tournament. For those who don't know, Luis Suarez, there was some fighting, pushing, shoving, and he actually spit on a member of the Seattle staff. 100% out of line. Leagues Cup came in, 6-match suspension, yes. But for MLS to come in and give an additional 3 games for me makes 0 sense. If this was the U.S. Open Cup, you're going, okay, it's all the domestic side. Suspensions can carry over to the league. You see it in England. If you get, that's always, before the FA Cup final, the last league match of the season, everybody's worried, or the second last, because they don't want to be suspended for the FA Cup final.
Right.
I do not know how the league can come in and say, you're not playing 3 league matches now because of something that happened in a made-up tournament that is not part of the domestic scene.
Who administers it, though? Is it run by MLS? That's the question.
I think...
there has to be some kind of involvement, I would assume. I don't really know who administers.
I think it's Donnie Sockers and whoever's the head of the Mexican league.
Then I guess it makes sense to hand it down.
But to me,
it's a separate competition.
I think it's more like the European competitions. It's not CONCACAF, but this is just the brainchild of some greedy people. Worse than what we've seen. It's made up. It's popped in the middle of the season for MLS. It's at the start of the season for Mexico, whose clubs don't care. I don't care what anybody says. They don't care. They're 3 matches in. This is like an additional preseason for them.
It is.
And, after the first round, they're back playing. As soon as they're knocked out, they're playing league matches.
Right.
Now this year, we're going to pause the tournament so we can play a weekend of the league for MLS teams, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do this quick semifinal final. Nobody cares. It was made for TV. It was made for Apple TV, so they could have more games to try and justify the dollar amount that they're not getting. And to get Messi out there more, because isn't it ironic that Inter went to all 3 finals of this tournament?
It's skill.
Of course it is. Skilled refereeing, to be sure.
Oh, well, I think that's an obvious occurrence throughout the time of Messi in MLS. We can put on the tinfoil hats right now and go down that rabbit hole if we really wanted to, but
that will be for another show.
Yeah, free kicks from 20 yards out in every single game after the 85th minute, right?
It's
uncanny.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
But, listen, it's been a great show. Is there anything else you want to toss into the free-for-all as we get back into the domestic play? This is an international week. We did well to keep up on that, and this Suarez thing just came out, so I think it was good to touch on it. But I think until we get through these next couple days and get back to our regular weekends, next week we'll have more.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the corner kick for this week. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, come visit our fine sponsor, X Golf, 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton. And on the bottom right there, Azar Supermarket, one of our title sponsors, 3131 Linden Street in the city of Bethlehem, for all your fresh Lehigh Valley produce. So much of their produce is grown right here at home in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. Check our Facebook page at CWTAP Television for their weekly specials. They come up every Wednesday, and they run their specials Wednesday through Sunday down there at Azar's. Chicken, beef, lamb, pork, more olives. Great selection of feta cheese. Always have a different kind on sale every week. I did the Bulgarian feta 2 weeks in a row. We'll see what they have on sale this week. I always like to sample what they have. Chickpea salad, second to none. I've had it from other places. The Lebanese olive oil that they use sets it apart. Really great place. Love going over there. Please support our fine sponsors like X Golf and Azar's Supermarket. Great Mediterranean and Middle Eastern grocer there in Bethlehem. JJ, it's been great. You get the final word.
Let's get through these next couple days after what is, to me, a quiet soccer weekend. Let's get the clubs back and rolling full steam. Can't wait for those first couple matches Friday, the teasers, and then full slates everywhere, Saturday, Sunday, and then next week we'll have another full boat to go.
All right, well done, sir. So for JJ Pepe, I'm Alex Fidrushevsky. That's the corner kick for this week. God bless, and good night from CWTAP. And JJ, you can send it off.
Ciao for now.